Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Discover Your Dreams. This space is rooted in the grounded life philosophy, where inner peace becomes the foundation for purposeful living. Here we focus on regulation, awareness, and conscious self-leadership as a way of returning to ourselves and meeting life from a more grounded place. Before we begin today, take one slow, intentional breath. Let your attention settle into your body, your shoulders, your chest, the weight of your feet on the floor. Then bring to mind something you've wanted for a very long time. Maybe you've been longing for greater clarity or a deeper sense of purpose. Maybe you've been searching for meaningful work or hoping for a relationship that feels true. Perhaps you're ready for a new chapter, or you're holding a dream that hasn't quite unfolded yet, but still lives quietly inside you. Now ask yourself, with honesty and without judgment, how much pressure have you placed on yourself to make this thing happen? Because today we're exploring something many of us never realize we're doing. We're trying to force what we're actually meant to allow. I think many people imagine purpose as something hidden, something tucked away just out of sight, waiting to be discovered. Because we hold that belief, we begin searching for it as if it's a treasure buried somewhere outside of ourselves. So we start pushing. We try harder. We work longer. We analyze every angle. We think more, worry more, and tighten our grip even further. It's as if we've convinced ourselves that purpose is deliberately hiding from us, when in truth, it may be much closer than we think. There was a period in my life when I felt an almost overwhelming pressure to figure everything out. I wanted certainty, something solid I could hold on to. I wanted a plan that made sense, a roadmap that would reassure me I was heading in the right direction. I wanted proof, some kind of sign that I wasn't wasting time or moving blindly. And because I didn't have any of those things, I kept trying harder. I pushed myself to think more, to work more, to analyze every possibility as if clarity would eventually appear if I just exerted enough effort. But the opposite happened. The harder I pushed, the more disconnected I felt from myself, from my intuition, from the very sense of purpose I was chasing. Purpose doesn't respond well to pressure. When we push too hard, our vision narrows and we lose the ability to see possibilities that were there all along. Pressure makes everything feel urgent, as if we're racing against a clock no one else can see. It creates the illusion that we must have every answer, every detail, every step mapped out before we're allowed to move forward. But purpose doesn't unfold that way. Purpose reveals itself slowly, through participation, through showing up, trying, listening, and allowing. It grows in the space we create, not in the control we try to exert. Ask yourself this: where in your life are you placing pressure on yourself right now? Are you pushing yourself to know more than you reasonably can at this moment? Are you expecting yourself to be further along than you are? Are you demanding that you have everything figured out before you allow yourself to move? One of the biggest shifts in my life happened when I stopped seeing life as something I needed to conquer or master. Instead, I began to see it as something I was in relationship with, something alive, responsive, and capable of meeting me halfway. That shift changed everything, because relationships don't thrive on force or domination. They grow through listening, presence, curiosity, and mutual participation. And life is no different. Imagine planting a garden. You prepare the soil with care, loosening it so new life has room to take root. You place the seeds gently into the earth. You water them. You tend to them. You show up consistently because you want to support their growth. But no matter how much you want those seeds to sprout, you cannot force them. Growth doesn't happen through pushing or demanding. It happens through cooperation, with time, with nature, with the quiet intelligence already inside the seed. Pressure can't make a garden grow, and purpose works the very same way. There is nothing wrong with taking action. In fact, purpose requires action. Dreams only come to life when we participate in them, when we show up and engage with what matters to us. But participation and pressure are not the same thing. Participation says, I'll take the next step. I'll do my part. Pressure says, I must control the outcome. I have to make this turn out exactly the way I want. One opens you, the other tightens you. When I look back on the most meaningful changes in my life, very few of them arrived in the way I expected. Some came only after disappointment, after something I thought I wanted fell apart. Others emerged in the middle of uncertainty, when I had no clear sense of what was coming next. And a surprising number appeared only after I finally stopped trying to force them into existence. What I've noticed is that the opportunities I truly needed often showed up once I had already begun moving forward in good faith, taking small steps, doing what I could, trusting what I knew in that moment. They didn't arrive because I managed to control life or orchestrate every detail. They arrived because I was finally participating with life instead of trying to dominate it. A dysregulated nervous system tends to treat purpose like an emergency. Everything feels high stakes. You feel behind as if you're racing to catch up to some invisible timeline. You feel rushed, pressured to prove something, maybe to yourself, maybe to others, maybe to the world. It's a constant sense that you should already know more, be more, or have done more. But a regulated nervous system understands something entirely different. It recognizes that life unfolds in seasons. Growth unfolds in seasons. Purpose unfolds in seasons. There is a natural rhythm to becoming, and it cannot be hurried without cost. When your system is calm, you can finally trust that rhythm. Let me ask you something. What's one area of your life where you're putting pressure on yourself right now? Purpose? Money? Relationships? Maybe your health? Share it in the comments if you're comfortable. Awareness often softens what pressure cannot. This doesn't mean sitting around and waiting for life to magically work itself out. That part is important. Letting life respond to you is not passive. It's deeply participatory. You still show up. You still take action. You still learn, grow, and move forward in the ways you can. But you stop demanding immediate results from yourself. You stop interpreting every delay as a sign of failure. And you stop assuming that uncertainty means you're lost. Instead, you begin to trust that movement itself creates clarity, and that life has room to meet you when you're not gripping so tightly. What if purpose isn't a destination you eventually arrive at? What if purpose is actually the way you choose to show up today, in the life you're already living? What if purpose is expressed through your kindness, through the way you treat people, including yourself? What if it's expressed through your growth, in the small ways you stretch and learn? What if it shows up in your creativity, in the ideas you explore and the things you make? And what if purpose is revealed through your willingness to keep moving forward, even when the bigger picture hasn't fully come into focus yet? Maybe purpose isn't something waiting far ahead. Maybe it's something you're already practicing. Think about something you've been trying to force. Now ask, what would participation look like here? Not control, not perfection, not guarantees, just participation. Then ask, What would happen if I trusted life enough to take the next step and allow the rest to unfold? Purpose rarely arrives through pressure. When we push, strain, or demand answers, purpose tends to retreat into the background. But when we shift into presence, when we actually inhabit the moment we're in, it begins to reveal itself in subtle, meaningful ways. Purpose comes through participation, through the small ways we engage with our lives. It comes through alignment, when our actions begin to match our values. And it comes through trust in ourselves, in our timing, and in the unfolding of things we can't see yet. Often, the next step only becomes visible after we've taken the one right in front of us. Movement creates clarity, presence creates direction, and purpose meets us along the way. You do not need to force your purpose into existence. It isn't something you have to wrestle into clarity or push it into form. You also do not need to have everything figured out before you begin. Life doesn't require that kind of perfection from you. You don't need certainty either. Certainty is comforting, but it's not a prerequisite for movement. What you do need is enough courage to take the next honest step, the one that feels true, even if it's small. And you need enough trust to let life respond to that step, to allow the path to unfold in its own timing. Purpose grows through partnership, not pressure. Purpose is not something you chase. It isn't a finish line you sprint toward or a prize waiting at the end of relentless effort. Purpose is something you participate in, something that emerges through the way you engage with your life, moment by moment. And when you stop forcing life to bend to your timeline or your expectations, you create space for life to meet you halfway. You soften your grip, and in that softening, clarity has room to rise. I'll see you next time.